Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Aston Villa, Fulham nil. It wasn't pretty, but we sit fifth in the Premier League.
Oh, man. Honestly, mate, just closed my eyes momentarily there as you did the intro. And, you keep that intro the same for every podcast. I must have heard you say those words to me in that exact same order. Honestly, hundreds of times. And they are normally followed by tales of some defeat, general woe, relegation battles, whatever it might be. We've done it, mate. We have done it. We are out of the hood. We have made it. We are flying fifth in the Premier League. But my oh my, it's incredible, really, isn't it? Unai has broken all of these records. They are being shattered left, right, and centre. Villa are doing X for the first time since the 2000s, Y for the first time since the 1990s. But we still can't shake the fact that we are Aston Villa, and deeply rooted within the very fabric of this club's glorious DNA is the fact that we must make it incredibly difficult for ourselves to achieve anything good. Because my oh my, did we make that second half hard for ourselves?
I think, in fairness to Fulham, I think they made it difficult as well. I think.
Yes.
I think the buzzword for the episode is fatigue, really, and I think it's understandable after Saturday, and we did speak about the tight turnaround and the depleted squad, and it's been the same 11 for weeks now, hasn't it? And with as you rightfully pointed out, mate, we've only got 3 subs to make, and we made the same 3 subs almost. So that makes it sweeter, though, right? Doesn't that make the win that much sweeter that we can get these ugly points on the board? And as the old saying goes, there's no pictures on scorecards, mate. We got the 3 points, and I was worried actually when because obviously JJ went down. There was a bit of a nasty tackle. Was it from Andres Pereira?
Yeah.
And I was very worried because I'm thinking, God, we're gonna have to put Chambers on at around 50 minutes, and he's gonna have to see it out in the midfield. And I'm thinking, well, then if Chambers is in midfield, then Ash is going to play the full 90, and will Ash's knees cope for the full 90 with a trip to Old Trafford on Sunday? And all the permutations that were running through my mind in the sort of minute or so that JJ was lying on the floor, I was fearing the worst. But it's remarkable that this group of players just continue to get the job done, mate, isn't it? We're 5th in the league, but unbeaten in 10. It's 5 consecutive home clean sheets, 5 home wins on the bounce. And for the listeners, Dan went out of frame there.
Stop it.
He's spun his
Stop it. Stop it.
What?
Bro. Oh. Man, honestly, I can't stop looking at the Premier League table. I can't stop. Like, honestly to God, I am so sorry, guys. I know that you come to this podcast because Dan and I normally, we're very rational. And we give you such good analysis after games. I'm going to struggle to do that tonight. There are a few games in the season, to be fair, where this happens, isn't it? It's just so hard to talk about today and anything other than what a moment for this football club. Obviously, I know that there is a little asterisk by the fact that we're sitting in 5th in the Premier League, and that is all the games in hand that teams above us and indeed teams below us have upon us, but you can't take it away from us. But what's crazy, mate, is the sides that sit 6th, 7th, and 8th, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Brighton, in that exact order, are our final 3 opponents of the season. And to get there, to have that opportunity to play those 3 finals where it's literally like, it's like playoff football. It's like win or go home. Whoever wins those games, whoever takes the most points, gets European football. To get there, we've got this small task of a trip to Old Trafford and then Molineux. It's just relentless, mate. But my is it going to be fun? And we did what we needed to do tonight in order to go into these games in the best possible position. I honestly feel like today was our last look at this season where you look at, there's a nailed on 3 points. That's the last time we'll have that this season. I feel like we all went into this game very confident, very much looking forward to it. I mean, Dan, I think people will be asking for your hand in the lottery numbers this week, mate, because you picked out Tyrone Mings for the thumbnail. I only saw that today when I was going back for the channel. I was like, maybe Dan knew something we didn't. So whoever is the thumbnail, the preview, which will be coming to you Thursday or Friday, make sure you put a bet on that, man, because Dan got the Midas touch in that regard. But yeah, this was the last time I think we looked at our fixture list and went, 3 points today at home against Fulham, a side that in the first half, not so much the second, as you said, Matt, felt that they were sort of on the beach. They're in that sort of weird space where they had such an amazing start to the season. They cleared themselves of the relegation zone, honestly, by sort of November and December. But as we've progressed further and further into the new year, that's sort of tailed off. European football now seems a bridge too far for them. And they're in this sort of weird limbo period where it's quite difficult really to sort of motivate yourself to keep going when you're not really fighting for anything. And yeah, they sort of rallied. But look, as I said, we've now got these big games, 3 of them on the road, 2 of them at Villa Park. And my mate, if it comes down to that game, 4:30, 28th of May, bring your dinner, Villa Brighton at home. Oh, man.
Mate, that's the thing is, right? If you would have said to us at the start of the season, not even at the start of the season, if you'd have said to us, like, Fulham away, the last time we played them, Steven Gerrard's swan song, his parting gift. If you'd have said, listen, European football, it's all down to the final day of the Premier League season. First of all, you'd have laughed, and second of all, you'd have snapped your hands off for it, mate. You just would have. The fact, and what fills me with much more confidence now, I back Villa in any game on a game-by-game basis. I will back Villa to the hills, because if there was a game that Unai Emery had to manage, so that my life depended on it, I know he would win that game. I know that he is thoughtful and insightful, and we know the extensive analysis. I can't even talk. The extensive analysis that he does literally 5 minutes after the game's finished when he's on the coach. We know how thorough this man is, and if you had to put all of your money on one game for Aston Villa to get into Europe, to actually guarantee it, and it'd be the final game of the season, you bet my money is going on Villa winning against Brighton, mate. You absolutely bet. This is a man who knows how to win a game of football. That's just the top and bottom of it, really, in my opinion. And one thing I would say on my predictions, I've got the score right the past 3 weeks now. You as well. I've caught the scores the past 3 weeks. So maybe holler at me for betting tips, guys. Absolutely don't. Gamble responsibly and all that kind of stuff as well. I don't really bet. But Mings, mate, 521 days. Tyrone Mings' first goal in 521 days. Don't that make it feel so much sweeter as well?
I'm emotional, man.
I love it, man. I love it. Like,
what, bro? It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Look, we really had to dig it out today. It wasn't easy. It was scrappy. I thought Fulham defended really well in the first half, and the only thing that spoiled tonight is that I have Tyrone Mings sat on my bench in FPL, having collected me 15 points tonight. 15 points, and he's on the bench. The only saving grace is that I got John McGinn in midfield. He got the assist from the corner. That's about as good as it gets in terms of FPL. But honestly, tonight I couldn't care. Buzzing for Tyrone. What a manager we have, mate. What a manager. It was only when I was sort of listening to the commentary on BT Sport and the reference to the fact that he's been in 8 European finals. 8. 16. Like, it's just there's so much going on right now that it's just glorious. I've never had this much faith in a manager. I don't think our fan base has ever had this kind of undying support for a manager. Like, look, we know that realistically we're on an amazing trajectory right now, and that next season we're not going to win every game. There's some Peter Run isn't going to go for 40, 50 games and encompass the whole of next season. There's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. But I honestly feel like Unai Emery has reached a point of unanimous support, regardless of how this season ends, regardless of there's European football or what tier of European football we can get our hands on. I think going forward, Unai Emery will have the undying support of the Villa fans. And I don't really think that's something that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I think Dean Smith is obviously the closest that we've come to that. But I think even he, like when we got to the Premier League, it was this sense of, it was uncharted waters for him. It was a real proving ground. And so whenever it went wrong for Dean, it was always that sort of, he's not got this Premier League experience. He's not got the ability to take us to Europe. He's never been anywhere. We have the manager now with the best track record that you could possibly have for a club of our level. And I just think regardless of what happens here, Unai has just formed an unbreakable bond with the Villa fans. And regardless of what happens from here, it's just hard to imagine this ever turning a bad way. The relationship between him and the fans is just great. The way that the players are responding to him and those lengthy video sessions that they all reference, it's great, mate. And it's even weird than seeing Austin McPhee. We have to shout out these guys who set pieces yet again come to fruition, and we're scoring from corners. And John McGinn in his post-match interview sort of referenced how hard they've been working at that exact routine, getting Tyrone to the near post for the flick on, John putting that ball in exactly the right spot for Tyrone to glance that into the far corner. It's something they've been working on. And, the list of people that you have to credit at the moment is amazing. And even, you referenced the lack of changes to our first 11, mate. You have to look at the guys, the physios, the fitness team, the conditioning people, everybody at the club that is making sure that these players are just going at a relentless pace. And yeah, I think fatigue definitely come into it today, mate. But the fact that we're still able to go out there and, get a 1-0 win and keep a clean sheet, and, we get a little bit of good fortune with the offside that Tyrone eventually, scored that own goal from, and that's ruled out. But, everybody at this club is just pulling in the same direction now. And I just don't think we've ever had this before.
You're spot on. Tears in the eyes. I do have one sort of gripe with today, and that is, I don't want to end the podcast on a sour note, but I've got to say, Emi Buendia needs to fix up his attitude, man. That guy's attitude is absolutely honking. I can allow the frustration within the last minute of Brentford because, he's feeling like a ball's on his plate, but then I totally get the other side as well. The striker has to attack that ball that's coming into the box. He absolutely has to, and you have to back your striker there. But for him to go and kick the post afterwards, come on, man. But I mean, scrapping with Ollie, get a grip, man. We are better than that. You are better than that. It really upset me. I just what's the need? What's the need?
Yeah.
And it's like an accumulation of things with Emi, because he gets brought down, he throws his hands in the air when a free kick isn't given, and he just wastes so much time. And listen, wonderful footballer, love him to death, but man, he needs to fix up, because let's put it this way, if that was Leon Bailey doing that, there'd be outrage.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Alexa just typed it. Yeah. Sorry, man.
Alexa agreed. Alexa is not happy with Emi.
Clearly. Some AI input on the podcast, man. Nah, you're right. I didn't think Emi had the best game today, and he's one of the players where you have to make sure you're on the right side of Emi Buendia, because he is really tenacious and he's really fiery. And the good part is, I think that he gets away with it, because he's this little diminutive playmaker that I feel like Bernardo Silva does this. Bernardo Silva is such a tenacious footballer, but because he's not like that kind of, in inverted commas, that kind of player, gets away with it. And I think Emi Buendia has that, and that's really useful in football. And he's got this really sort of, he's an Argentinian footballer, I think is the best way to put it. But the other, there is that caveat, and like Emi's sort of, we've seen him guilty of that as well as in Emi Martinez. I mean, he gets booked again for time wasting today. How that man hasn't back to the business, it feels like that happens every home game. He gets booked for time wasted. So yeah, we've got to make sure we fall on the right side of those margins, mate.
Absolutely. One final thing from me, mate, as well. I couldn't believe that Fulham are looking for a goal, and they bring on Carlos Vinicius, who did the Mbappe celebration against Marine in the FA Cup. You're looking for a goal, and that's the guy you bring on. That's outrageous, man. That guy is so unserious. But listen, huge win. I'm not going to let Emi ruin my night. I hope him and Ollie have kissed and made up. and are all sort, all rosy because we're in a really good place, and we don't need little things like that to ruin, uh, what we're doing. So yeah, guys, huge win. Let's just bask in that. Let's just enjoy it. If you made it all the way to the end, let us know in the comment section down below. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, make sure you're following, leaving a 5-star review, all that good stuff. And if you didn't know, we're on TikTok and Instagram, at Heart of the Holt on TikTok and at VillaPod on Instagram. But the links will all be in the link tree in the top of the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Villa.